Now, as you all know, imitation is the best form of flattery. So, in order to recognize Rabbi Rachel, it's Rabbi Rachel, the Rachel that raps. She'll keep you engaged, there'll be no naps. She'll amaze you with rhyme and amuse you with thought. You'll have no time to be distraught. After you hear her, you'll know why. She's my favorite guest speaker all the time by and by.
How do I do that now? Mic drop, you did rap. I'm just gonna sit down and watch the rest of the service. You guys got this. We already got 2 standing ovations. I don't need to talk. Oh man. Really hitting home today, everybody. Oh, these songs about surrender and feeling safe. I get to have my little one here with us today, which is really exciting, and it's been a minute. And she woke up this morning and wanted to match me, and that was cool. I'm like, yeah, I'll match. It's all good. But this theme coming up, dive and thrive, dive to thrive. And the irony, can't even believe this as I'm saying it, is as soon as I was assigned this topic, I wasn't able to get in the ocean. What is up with that? We think about, and I talked in my email, as you saw, about how we often dive down into the unknown, right? And for me, I'm probably more a mermaid than I am a human. I just put on my legs to come and walk around here. But we know surfing and swimming in the ocean is my medicine. It's where I find healing. It's where I find self-care. It's where I feel like I literally dive down, I come up, and I'm whole again. In Judaism, we have what's called a mikvah, which is kind of similar to a baptism, where you go underwater, you come out, you're new. I do this all the time. It is my own personal ritual. Until you go surfing, come over Saddle Road, think you blow an eardrum, and find out that you actually have double bacterial ear infections in both ears. And God's like, hey, Rach, find a new way to dive and thrive. I'm going to push you into that unknown whether you want it or not. And I'm going to give you all the fun stuff in your life that you don't see coming. You're going to have breakdowns in relationships. Your mom's going to have a heart attack. You're going to have all these things happen, and you can't turn to what you've normally gone to dive under and come out and thrive. So that's pretty real, right? Like here I am, heart open, all of it. There's my life. But that is those moments where you have to truly dive into the unknown. And sometimes that's what it takes. I can't be the only one who feels like with this year of the snake, we are being forced to just shed every layer. As cozy and as nice as that skin has felt, and how easy as it is for me to just, I don't need to think about that. I'm just going to go surf it off. I don't need to think about that. I'm just going to go swim it off. Oh, that's cool. Push that away. The universe is like, hey, you know that skin that you've been wearing, that comfort zone that you've been in, that sweet little cocoon that you've made for yourself? Cool. It's time for you to get up on out of there. I'm not going to let you have that anymore. Right? But I think we're all being faced with that right now. We all have these moments in our life where we have no choice but to surrender and dive into the unknown and trust this sense of safety that only whatever it is that's bigger than us can provide. I had a talk the other day with a friend who said something really interesting to me. She said, you know, I had a meditation recently, and I came to realize that I don't think the opposite of love is fear. Fear is the opposite of love. I think the opposite of fear is trust. And I kind of got to thinking about this because I've lived in a very love versus fear space, right? Every time I make a decision, I ask myself, is this coming from a place of love or is this coming from a place of fear? And it made me start to really think about like, okay, is trust a part of this? Well, yeah, we have to have trust in order to have love. If we don't trust our process, if we don't trust that dive into the unknown, we can't thrive. We can't even survive. We can't even feel love. We block ourselves off from the receptivity and the flow of love. So it's not necessarily that fear and trust or fear and love are opposite energies to me. It's that there's multiple layers of overcoming fear so that you can truly understand the essence of love. Saphira has been singing a song the past few weeks that they've been singing at school. Love is something, when you give it away, you end up having more. And I think about how profound that wisdom really is, and how often in our lives we really want to cling to what's comfortable. And sometimes it takes chaos and confusion, or almost a force that we kind of want to resist those layers from coming off, right? But we have to. There is no way to dive into the unknown and thrive unless you are willing to look fear in the face and think, I don't need to be afraid of you. Something bigger than me that I don't understand has me right now, supports me right now, loves me unconditionally right now. And whatever it is that's happening in my life, there's a reason for it. It made me think a lot with this happening, how I think about people who don't feel comfortable in the ocean, right? You see people coming into the water and it's scary. Diving into the unknown is really scary. The ocean is vast. There are sharks. There are sea urchin. A lot of time you can't see what's beneath you. If you go to surf, where I surf, you're literally sitting on top of a rock. That's really, really scary. And it forced me to look into a different perspective of diving into the unknown and what that truly means. There have been so many times in my life I can look back where I've had no choice but to dive in, where circumstances in our lives push us to grow, where the caterpillar must feel something, whether it's the burst of a wind that comes by, or a rainstorm that shakes the cocoon onto the ground, or something that in a sense makes it go, I just got to get out of here, right? And truly open up. That's what it does. It forces us to go into the unknown. Thinking about the past 6, 7, 8 years in my own life, all the comfort I've stepped away from, relationships, jobs, people, places, things that at one point felt so comfortable and so safe to me, until it was very clear they weren't where I was meant to be anymore. They might feel safe and they might feel comfortable, but they were preventing me from my highest potential. If I couldn't put myself and my own love first, then who was I serving? Because when we serve ourselves, we serve the highest good of all. And those triggers come up. Those fears arrive. Those moments come where we have no choice but to trust. But I believe we have the choice, right? And every experience or opportunity that we can see as uncomfortable, because I don't think growth is comfortable. She wakes up all the time crying that she has growing pains, right, Sephi? Yeah. Because it hurts to grow. Growth isn't a comfortable feeling. It's extremely uncomfortable. Think about when you're this age, your legs are moving and your bones are moving. We got a wiggly tooth right now. That feels weird. You can wiggle it with your tongue. You don't know if there's a big one coming behind it or not, you know. We all have that same child and that same space within us. Just because we grow into larger bodies or convince ourselves that we have things more figured out, that's an illusion in itself, doesn't mean that there isn't something inside of us that is pure, innocent, love-like, God-like, sometimes feel scared, sometimes need to be reminded we are safe. We look around at the world around us. This has been a very difficult for me personally weekly this week, watching what's going on with my people over in the Middle East and feeling generational trauma in a way I don't think I ever have before in my entire life. Seeing what's happening among us and feeling like I'm just watching history repeat itself. And there's nothing we can do. We start to feel hopeless, even though we know we're not really hopeless, even though hope is truly all we can cling to. Because it is this hope that's gotten us through this how many times, that has forced us to dive into the unknown and know that we will always thrive. I was reading back on the history of the Jewish people. Rome, Babylon, the Spanish Inquisition, the Holocaust, all of it. The ending is always the same. The pain during that time is unbelievable, insurmountable. Watching your people be hated merely because the blood in their body that they can't even control within them, and the way people are capable of treating other people, blows my mind. Empathy, human decency, common things that you think won't happen, that other human beings, I can't even fathom that they're capable of. Innocent children. As a mother, it tears my heart apart. But it forces me, as a mother, as a human being, and as a rabbi, to truly dive into my connection with my Creator and trust that we will thrive as a society, as a whole, and as a collective. That whatever growth we are going through collectively on our planet right now, we have no choice but to surrender and dive into. We have no choice but to accept the truth that we are safe, that we will thrive. And we might not be able to see it right now, because that's how life is. When you're in the muck, when you're in the layers of shedding, you can't see the horizon. You're in the darkness. And that's okay. I think sometimes we live in a time where everybody wants to hide from the darkness and everything be all love and light. I think darkness is okay. I think darkness is what allows the light to flourish. If we didn't have darkness, the moon and the stars couldn't shine. If we didn't have darkness on our planet, the love and light that needs to rise up wouldn't have the opportunity to do so. There is a spiritual battle between darkness and light that I don't think we can even see. And when I think about things in a large, vast, spiritual way, this has to be so small. Very, very small. But cosmically huge. When you are in the middle of history, you don't know that it's history till it's been done. When I look back on those moments of my life where I dove into the unknown, I didn't know how much I would thrive by truly surrendering to whatever it is that's bigger than me. And that, fear, love, trust, what if fear can empower us? What if fear is meant to show us where we have to go deeper? What if things happen in our lives to deliberately push us out of our comfort zones so that we can thrive? What if everything that happens to us truly is not a mistake, is not a coincidence? And we believed that with every cell in our being. And we trusted that knowing that the dive into the unknown is where we thrive. Because it might seem dark, it might seem murky, and there might be a lot of questions, and you might not feel safe. but there is never anything that can come into our lives that is not meant for us. And I believe that. I know that. Maybe that's my own knowing. Maybe it's naive. Maybe it's wishful thinking. But whatever it is, I truly believe that when we surrender to whatever is bigger than us, we dive into fear. Yeah, I said it. I said it. I'm not saying look fear in the face and confront it. I'm saying go into that fear. See why you're afraid. Look deeper. What's the feeling behind it? What's the resistance? Because what you resist persists. And I think there's no accidents that right after we entered the year of the snake, and I can't be the only one, like I said, feeling these forced layers to come off, they found a snake here on Hawaii Island at Honolulu Beach where I surf. Right there. First one ever. Poisonous, venomous snake right there. And I read that and I was like, wow. The divine is giving us signs if we can choose to align. And with that, I'll share my rhyme. Moments in life where I'm not sure I'll survive. I feel like I'm struggling just being alive. I feel out of my realm, I can't leave my hive. Into the void, no choice but to dive. Because from ourselves, love we can deprive until we find truth, surrender, and thrive. I feel like the world is too heavy and real. The darkness among us that once did conceal. That time now has shown us, chosen to reveal. It's clearer now more than ever, we were put here to heal. I can't stand here and pretend I don't feel. I can't bring myself to watch another hostage deal. All I can do is pray, stay humble and kneel, but it feels like history is taking the wheel. Children sleeping from their beds, these people did steal. Yet us Jews stand alone, hated with zeal. I still get scared when I talk today. I hate to think this is present here in Hawaii Nei, but I've experienced it myself. This I must say, I have been threatened for the way that I pray. But to my ancestors I will pay and fight for our people, come what may. Because I know how this goes when we lose the gray, and from empathy many do stray. They choose to be silent when they need to say, hey, enough is enough. Find a new prey. And here I wait for someone to yell and end all of this, stop this hell. We know the ending and we know it well. We must ride the wave of the mightiest swell. How this will end, only time will tell, but I'm here to remind you how Babylon fell. Into the unknown, the signs we are shown. There is no more hiding, the cover's been blown. The energy among us, we set the tone, but there are many times we just can't do it alone. Two old habits we are often so prone. When it comes time to dive, we whine and we moan. But we know we must do it with every bone, that we are the fabric that is here to be sewn, that we are spirit in a body on loan, and when we dive, we weirdly have flown. We all have those moments where we feel so small. It all feels like too much. We can't handle it all. Against ourselves, we continue to brawl, and out of darkness, we don't want to crawl. We want to stay guarded, build even more walls. Going in circles, we continue to stall. Until we can dive, pick up the ball, choose to surrender, and have the gall. No one but ourselves can answer the call. It's hard to dive when you want to fear, but to a new earth, I believe we are near. And we must dive down, get crystal clear, and then we can thrive with fear in the rear. Give our love to what we hold dear, and towards success we continue to steer. The divine is talking. Can we hear? Accidents are none. Coincidences aren't mere. We've built foundation, post and pier, but can we thrive and level up a tier? We must be like dolphins. We can't do it alone. We need each other to dive into the unknown. We must wake up, put down our phones, create community, and make a new tone. Through darkness and light, we will wander and roam. And when we dive in, we always have grown. The awakening upon us, spiritual skills we must hone, and I know we will thrive. Mahalo, shalom. Thank you, everybody.